northeast of La Jolla in California, a few miles inland from the sea, there is a desolate area of sand and mesquite in which monuments to man's failure still remain. The abandoned oil rigs of bankrupt wildcatters and gold mines that never panned out.
Your turn!
Ben, oh, Ben, please, no.
I'll count to 3. You don't shoot, I will. 1, 2, 3. Now, fire back at me. Fire back or I'll kill you, Tammy. I swear I'll kill you. 1, 2.
All right, you win.
Say it again.
You win, you win, you win.
Now, let's see how you shoot.
No, Ben, please.
Closer!
Markham, starring Ray Milland, is brought to you by Schlitz, the beer that made Milwaukee famous. Know the real joy of good living. Isn't this what all of us want? To move up to better living, to do the things we like to do. Wherever you are, you can enjoy one of life's most refreshing pleasures. Schlitz, quality within the reach of all. It's brewed with just the kiss of the hops. When you order beer, ask for Schlitz. Know the real joy of good living. Move up to quality. Move up to Schlitz. The beer that made Milwaukee famous.
So Ben Miles, millionaire playboy, was missing. At the insistence of his mother, I flew to San Diego for the hearing.
And then I felt the rifle kick, and I heard a shot. And then I must have passed out.
The district attorney seemed patently unhappy that Miles was clearly unavailable, either as a dead human body or as a live human being.
I looked everywhere for him.
I found myself watching Mrs. Potter, Tammy's mother. Then I began to study Mrs. Miles, mother of the missing man. She appeared remarkably composed. I studied Ben's sister, too, Muriel, though this was hardly the time or the place. Mrs. Miles had suggested I look over a man named Larry Blanchard. I did. Just about then, Tammy finished her testimony.
Only his rifle. With blood on it.
Just prior to this meeting, I again went over the police reports. Despite a most exhaustive search, there appears to be no immediate hope of finding Benjamin Miles. It is nevertheless the opinion of this office that Benjamin Miles can now be presumed dead of a gunshot wound administered accidentally by his wife, Mrs. Tammy Miles, while he was taunting her and placing her in terrible jeopardy of her own life. I, therefore, am issuing no complaint in behalf of the people of this county. You're free to go, Mrs. Miles. Now, if you will excuse me, I'm due in court.
What do you say at a time like this? Congratulations. You know how I feel, Tammy.
Yes, I know, Larry. Thank you.
Well,
Oh, Mother, no. I'll have my things moved out right away, Mrs. Miles.
We can't let her go now, Mother. She needs us now more than ever.
You come home with me, Tammy, where you belong.
You're part of our family, too, my dear. We must never forget that.
Tammy, I'm telling you, come back with me before it's too late.
Mama, it's going to be all right. Believe me, it's going to be all right.
Take Tammy home with you, Muriel. I'll go with Mr. Markham.
Come on, Tammy. There she goes, a free woman. And my son, dead somewhere in the sand. That's why I begged you to come here. I must know the truth about Ben's death.
Didn't you just hear the district attorney weigh the evidence and make his decision?
You mean you believed what she told him? That ridiculous story about the duel?
Don't you?
Tammy comes into almost $2 million because of Ben's death.
That much?
Just get me the truth. Is that too much to ask?
Not too much to ask, Mrs. Miles, but frequently too much to take. The most arduous phase of seeking the truth is deciding you really want to know it. Mrs. Miles insisted she did, so I moved into the Miles estate on a hill overlooking La Jolla. She'd already introduced me to the others as Ben's personal attorney. Yes?
I've got to talk to someone. Maybe you can help me. It's gone, too. There's something horrible in this house.
Mrs. Miles, it's been a very trying day.
But it isn't the first thing to disappear. Right after it happened, my cigarette lighter. And then a pair of French gloves. And a pressed rose. First thing Ben ever gave me. And now my music box. I know it was here. I saw it this afternoon when I came back, so I know it was here.
All these things are things Ben gave you? And you feel that he has come back to reclaim them?
I'm not imagining these things are gone. They are gone.
All right. They're gone. And somebody's been taking them. But not Ben. Put that thought right out of your mind.
Then who?
Possibly one of the servants.
A rose, Mr. Markham. A pressed rose. Well, anyway, I feel much better just talking to you. Will you help me? Will you watch a little, and if you see anything...
Of course I will.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. If Tammy felt a little better for our talk, I didn't. Either she was being pushed or she was pushing. Either way, the edge was close, and somebody had to fall over it.
Good evening.
Oh, good evening, Mrs. Miles.
It's nice out here, isn't it? I often come out here alone at nights. That's the Miles burial ground. We're the only family in the county with our own cemetery. I come out looking and hoping I'll find a headstone for Ben. But I look, and his plot is empty.
Did your son love Tammy?
He married her. Don't you think you should rephrase your question, Mr. Markham? Not did Ben love Tammy, but did Tammy love Ben?
Did she?
You'll never learn simply by asking.
True, but we can't quite get out of the habit of trying. Good night, Mrs. Miles.
Good night.
Next morning, I went looking for the middle of nowhere. I found it in the dead center of a wasteland of yucca and mesquite, 10 miles inland from Torrey Pines. Mr. Potter? Mr. Potter?
You don't hear so good. You're wondering how Ben Miles ever found her way out here. It's cooler inside. He come riding along one evening. Tammy had just come from town. She was outside showering. We got a place fixed up under the water tower. Well, she got a towel around her just in time and come running in here. He sat out there on that horse of his and laughed. And he rode off over toward the old mine. Next day, he stopped in to where she was working. Next thing we knew, she was Mrs. Miles. Folks in La Jolla wondered, how come Ben Miles to marry a poor girl like Tammy? A girl who had nothing. But I can tell you, mister, she had something then that drew that devil of a man to her like a moth to a flame. She had innocence.
Had?
I guess for all your being his lawyer, you didn't know very much about Ben Miles. Where do you stand in all this?
I have an open mind, Mrs. Potter, and a question. Okay? Yesterday in the district attorney's office, you begged Tammy to come home with you. Why?
If she stays where she is, they'll kill her.
Who will?
Somebody wants her dead.
Clearly, Tammy was caught in a tug of war. Pulled one way by love, another by hate. And you can't always tell the players, even with a program.
Cold and dry, Philippe. I wondered when you'd get around to me.
I didn't know you'd been waiting.
You weren't Ben's lawyer. You didn't even know him. You're not fooling anybody. I understand Mother's paying you a small fortune. For what?
Here's your drink. You're out riding near the mine today, weren't you?
How'd you know?
Along with the Chanel, there's a smell of sagebrush. It's very pleasant.
I was wrong. You're not a private eye. You're a public nose.
No, I think we may get along.
I don't. I dislike good-looking men.
Thank you.
Look, I don't have much money right now, but I can raise enough. And I'll give it to you if you go back where you came from.
You were right. We'll not get along.
You're not even fooling Tammy. Don't you suppose she knows why you're here?
Do you?
Why, of course. To try to prove she deliberately killed my brother.
Well, there's hardly a chivalrous thing for a house guest to do now, is it? Let's say I came for the salt air and to recover some stolen articles. Some gloves, cigarette lighter, music box.
Oh, that, honestly. Tammy's just not herself right now. And your poking around isn't going to help her any. She's simply mislaid a few things, that's all.
Or maybe Ben took them. Felipe, not a very dry martini. Thank you. There was still a taste on my lips.